Chapter -7.7 The Secret by Minnow. Careful, said Frank. Remember, laughing is banned. Isla's insane, said Skye. Who ever heard of a school that bans laughter? We all laughed again, but then Ben looked serious. There's something we've got to tell you, he said. Skye sighed and then looked at me, her eyes anxious. It's for Skye to tell, said Ben, not me. Skye looked down. There was a long silence. Frank and I were starting to worry when Skye finally spoke. We were both in this car with Dad when the train hit. I nodded, feeling guilty about thinking it was a bit Harry Potter. After the accident, I was in a coma, said Skye. You couldn't wake up at all? Asked Frank. I didn't even know I was asleep, said Skye. For how long? Nearly a month. So long, said Frank. Skye nodded. While I was unconscious, parts of me sort of splintered away. Like a toe or something? Asked Frank. I gasped. Not your hands? I asked, remembering my nightmare. I ran my eyes over Skye, checking for missing body parts. Not bits of me, said Skye. Whole selves, but younger than I am. I saw them splinter away, just like it might happen in a dream. Skye stopped and looked embarrassed. Were they like ghosts? Asked Frank. Sort of, said Skye, but with real bodies. Where are they now? Asked Frank. Skye looked strangely excited. They're exploring the bush, she said. They love being away from the centre. Frank looked as if he might burst. You're not making this up. They actually exist. Skye nodded. Can we meet them? He asked. They're itching to meet you, said Skye, but you'll only be able to talk to them. They have to stay invisible. Why? Asked Frank. Skye sighed. The more times they become visible, the more separate they become from me. Frank nodded as if he knew, but I felt nervous. I looked at Ben, who wasn't saying anything. Did he believe any of this? I started to wonder if my new friend had lost parts of her mind. There's something else, said Skye. You have to keep it secret. What? Asked Frank, the most excited I'd seen him for a long time. My younger selves are called Six and Jemima, said Skye, and all three of us have wings. How come you have wings? I asked, not believing any of it. Skye fiddled with her locket. This isn't going to make sense, but an archangel gave me wings just before I woke up from the coma, and because the little ones are part of me, they have them too. The sun was shining on Skye's face, and I couldn't help wondering if she'd gone a bit mad. His name was Gabriel, you know, from the Christmas story. Frank nodded. Minnow has an angel on her bedroom window, he said. She's always said his name is Gabriel, haven't you, Min? Skye's eyes lit up. Really? True, said Frank. She lives in an old church. I smiled, but I still wasn't buying Skye's story. We've always wanted to live in an old church, said Ben, or a lighthouse or something. Dad was an architect. He loved lighthouses. Frank grinned. I live in an old art museum just up the Waterfall River, the one that comes out near Minnow's place. Lucky, said Ben. We live in a rundown orphanage. Skye groaned. Oh, we hate it there. Anyway, Gabriel said that all of heaven wanted me to have wings to help me wake up from the coma. This all happened in a dream? I asked. Well, I thought so, said Skye, but when I woke up I still had wings, and my two younger selves were with me and they had wings. Didn't the doctors and nurses notice? I asked, feeling bad to be doubtful, but really, wings? I thought they would, said Skye, but after a while I realised that no one can see the wings unless I want them to. As long as Jem and Six remain invisible, no one can see them either. I stared at Skye, still not convinced. At first I wondered if my brain was damaged, said Skye. Don't worry, it isn't, said Ben, smiling at his sister. I'd give anything to have wings, said Frank. Me too, said Ben. Dad died and all I got was concussion. A gust of wind blew through the sheoak and the tree's needles made a strange, shifting sound. Oh my God, said Frank. Can you fly? Only after dark, said Ben, sounding stern. Only because you say so, said Sky. It's for your own good, said Ben. Imagine if the thieves caught you. Your life would be over. There was a sudden breeze as something whooshed past. Ben's an idiot, said a voice. A big fat idiot, said another voice. Frank and I grinned at one another. This was going to be good.